Sally here. Today, I'm going to share something deceptively simple that can completely transform how women respond to you, especially as you get older. And no, it has nothing to do with money, nothing to do with looks, and absolutely nothing to do with clever pickup lines. In fact, the men who rely on those things are usually the ones women forget. What I'm about to share with you activates something much deeper in the female psyche, something neurological, something emotional, something most men don't even realize they're missing. And there is one subtle detail, almost invisible, that determines whether these words create attraction or fall completely flat. Stay with me, because this will change the way you communicate. For years, I've studied thousands of interactions between men and women, and I noticed a pattern. The men who create the strongest emotional pull are not necessarily the best looking. They are not the wealthiest. They are not the loudest in the room. They are the ones who master one skill: direct emotional communication. While most men hide behind vague language, trying not to offend, trying not to risk rejection, these men speak with clarity, and that clarity is magnetic. Why? Because the human brain is wired to respond to certainty. When communication is direct and grounded, it creates what psychology calls emotional anchoring, a memory tied to a feeling. And two phrases do this exceptionally well. The first one is, "I want." Simple, almost too simple. But listen carefully. When a man says, "I want," with calm confidence, he is taking responsibility for his desire. He's not asking for permission. He is not outsourcing the decision. He is not saying, "Maybe, if you'd like, we could." He is leading. And here is something deeply important about female psychology. Women are drawn to men who know what they want, not because they want control, but because clarity feels safe. When you say, "I don't know, whatever you prefer," you think you are being agreeable, but what you're communicating is uncertainty. Now compare that to, "I want to take you out Saturday. I know a place you'll love." Feel the difference. You're not forcing, you're not demanding, you're directing. That activates what relationship psychology often describes as polarity, complementary energies interacting in balance, confidence without aggression, initiative without pressure. That is powerful. But this is where most men make a mistake. If you only use "I want," you can appear self-focused, which brings us to the second phrase, "I appreciate." This is where the depth happens, because desire alone creates tension, but appreciation creates emotional connection. When you say, "I want to see you again," that's good. But when you say, "I want to see you again, I really appreciate the way you think," conversations with you feel different. Now something shifts. You are no longer just expressing desire. You are expressing recognition. And recognition is profoundly attractive. Why? Because most men compliment appearance. Very few acknowledge essence. When you appreciate a woman's mind, her energy, her perspective, you communicate that you see her. And being seen is one of the deepest human needs. Psychologist Abraham Maslow described belonging and esteem as fundamental drivers of behavior. Appreciation satisfies both. But there is a critical factor that determines whether this works. Congruence. Congruence means your words, your body language, and your tone are aligned. If you say, "I want to take you out," but your shoulders are collapsed, your voice is uncertain, your eyes avoid contact, the message collapses. Because the nervous system reads inconsistency immediately. Women are exceptionally attuned to this, not consciously, biologically. If you say, "I want," stand grounded, breathe slower, hold eye contact. If you say, "I appreciate," soften your tone. Slow down. Let sincerity land. Attraction is not just verbal, it is energetic alignment. And one more thing, timing. You do not use these phrases constantly. Ah, that feels mechanical. You use them at moments of emotional significance, at the end of a meaningful date, after a moment of shared laughter, after a real conversation. You look at her and say, "I want to see you again. I appreciate the way you show up." It's rare. That creates an emotional imprint. And emotional imprints are what make people unforgettable. Now let me say something clearly. This is not manipulation. If you don't genuinely want, if you don't genuinely appreciate, do not say it. Because authenticity is the foundation. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be flashy. You need to be clear. Clarity is attractive. Initiative is attractive. Sincere appreciation is deeply attractive. Combine them, and you create emotional gravity. If this resonated with you, subscribe to Deep Dive Psychology. Because we don't teach tricks here. We teach psychological awareness, and awareness changes everything. I'll see you in the next deep dive.